Welcome to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper Smith, a doctorate prepared nurse practitioner, and this show is about empowering you to live a radiant, healthy, and balanced life. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Linda Smiley from Life Force Healing. Linda is a certified emotion coach and body code practitioner and a human design guide. She is devoted to helping others reconnect with their inner truth and life force energy so they can create lasting positive change in their lives. Linda specializes in supporting individuals navigating mystery illnesses, emotional overwhelm, and high stress environments. Her mission is to empower others to heal holistically and live more with peace, alignment, and purpose. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be speaking with you today.
Yes, this is such an interesting topic. What led you in your journey to work with this type of healing?
I have been interested in holistic health and healing, my entire life, and just, things kind of esoteric. But I think it was really kind of my own healing journey that I kind of went on, just to kind of improve my life, release the stress, and kind of those mystery illnesses, those aches and pains that, nobody could figure out what they were. And when I kind of started going down this path and found emotion code and body code, it was really eye-opening for me to see that, some of these illnesses or dis-ease could be stuck emotional energies that were like old, unprocessed emotions that can cause these different illnesses or, disease.
Yeah, we're definitely a stressed out society.
Oh, yes.
And the mind is so powerful that I agree that many times what's going on physically is actually related to our emotions.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that subconscious mind of ours that, really if the theory is within the first 7 years of our lives, that's kind of where we're conditioned, by our caregivers, our parents, and, our body just thinks certain things are true when, we may consciously not believe that, but subconsciously our minds are fighting to seek out that truth or that validation. So that's kind of the fight too. And that's where the different energy healing techniques like emotion code and body code can come into play and help you kind of identify what those stuck energies are and being able to release them.
So what is emotion code?
So it's an energy healing technique. It's a way of speaking with your subconscious mind, and it's by using muscle testing, which is the applied kinesiology. And it's a method of speaking with your body and your subconscious by your muscles response. So the theory is if your muscle is going to hold strong to, a positive idea, that's going to be something that's going to be good for you. But if your muscle goes weak to whether it's something that you speak, the wording, it could be, food or supplements as well. You can muscle test that to see if it's going to be something that's going to be receptive to your body. So it's really great too if you suffer from allergies or different food allergies. It's a way of that I can kind of tap into your energy field. I do all my sessions remotely, so I'm able to use my body as a surrogate. So I'm muscle testing using myself, but it's within your energy field to ask these yes or no questions as we kind of go through an application. And it's, just asking, what is this stuck emotional energy? And then once we actually identify it, we can even, a lot of times people will resonate with that emotion. They're like, oh, I thought I've dealt with that. I've been through talk therapy. But a lot of times, yeah, you go through talk therapy, you may be talking it, but it's also, it could be stuck within your body. So it's just really identifying that emotional energy. And then we may even need to know more. We can identify even back to what age you may have, stuck this emotional energy. And I think that helps people to kind of put parts and pieces together to help release it. And the crazy thing is, I think what a lot of people don't realize is you can absorb emotional energies from others, especially if you experience the same event, or even just like DNA or genetics. When you inherit, you're like, oh, that's inherited within my family. It's the same with emotional energy. You can pass along that emotional frequency. It's the same frequency with one person. It's just like passing on genetics. You're passing on that emotional energy. So it's a way too where we can, not only help yourself, but anybody else who carries that same frequency, and releasing it for everyone.
Wow. So there's so much here. So let's go back for a second. So let's say I have an allergy to a food.
Mm-hmm.
That can be from a trapped emotion.
Potentially,
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
So with the emotion and code and body code, it's a technique devised by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He is a retired chiropractor, and his theory is that anything can cause anything, and especially when we're working with the mind, and there's so many more studies and everything that are evolving and things that are coming out, but our minds, can really kind of seek out to validate that truth of anything. So it's almost like an idea allergy as well. That's a thing. And emotion code and body code, where your body can develop a physical allergy to anything. And it may even, just because of that subconscious programming or whatever you may have taught yourself to think. I mean, an example would be if you don't like your partner's perfume, you become allergic to your marriage.
Oh, wow. So how does so my husband's wearing something I don't like the smell of it. It's going to make me allergic to him, or just the idea of the two of us?
So it could be that, I mean, it just all depends on, the different factors that come into play, with your husband,
Yeah.
if you're upset with him, or, and you're negatively associating that smell with him. Yes, that could be a potential negative, kind of energy, or something that, your subconscious could connect to, that making it as like a faulty thing. So where we can kind of go in and, is there an emotion tied to that? Let's release it. And then it's just like releasing that emotional energy. The same with allergies too. If you are having a reaction, like for me, for instance, I react to gluten. Now it's not so severe where, my throat or anything's swelling shut, but I do notice some like inflammation and swelling. Usually my joints will ache, or I have like inflammation in my eyes. So that's something too, where I've been kind of working with myself, because I can use this on myself as well, to do kind of what's called an allergy reset, which I know a lot of like acupuncturists and chiropractors will do what's called NAET. And it's a way of kind of clearing out that vibrational energy from your body, whatever you're reacting to. So it's like doing that allergy reset to restart your body's natural healing process, or detoxification, really, to detox that, quote unquote allergy from your body, so that your body's eliminating it properly. So, and usually there's lots of things that go into play. And this is like, along the lines of Chinese medicine, where if you are having allergies, it's most likely a sluggish liver, because our liver, is detoxing. So it's, kind of going down that route too, finding that root cause, along with that emotional energy is, are there different items too that you can do, or methods throughout the day or throughout the week, to help support your liver, to help support releasing these emotions, so you aren't taking them in and holding them, throughout the day or weeks, months, years within your body, and that you're able to process them.
So you mentioned that you work remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? And we did a session that we'll talk about a little bit, but tell our listeners how that works.
So it's the concept of, everything is energy. And really, I tell everyone too, for it to work the best for you, you have to have that open mind, going into it, understanding that, when you turn a light switch on, the light turns on. You don't really necessarily understand how that works, but it's energy. It's the same with when I'm working remote. I usually do like a Teams or a Zoom session where, I'm able to see you, but it's also connecting into your energy. And I like to describe that to people as I only do that too whenever I have your permission.
Right.
And it's like sending that intentional prayer, sending that person love and gratitude. We pray for others for healing and, for different miracles, or just for, good outcomes. So it's pretty much the same concept. It's just sending that, love and gratitude, that intention to connect into that person's energy. So I just use a muscle testing technique that's called the ringing ring method. So it's, once I'm connecting into that person and actually picking up that, my body is acting as if like I'm Dr. Amy,
Is it
so
like a
then
conduit or
yes.
okay,
Yeah. Surrogate is
surrogate? Okay.
what we call it in emotion code and body code. And you can even do it in person. A lot of times the surrogate testing is used with children, if they're, squiggling around, it's
Right.
hard to, use their arm to muscle test. So what you could do too is, you have that person holding their, the parent holding the child's hand, and then the parent, it's that connection, that energetic connection through the parent, and then using the parent's arm, the muscle test as well. So it's kind of the same theory, but as far as, you're just remote, we're just not in person. So it's just kind of sending that prayer, connecting into their energy field. And then once I'm not Linda anymore, I'm getting that that I'm you, I'm connected into your energy field, then I can go through my little application and ask the yes and no questions. And then we can identify, is this stuck emotional energy? Or in body code, it could be even more. It's even more into depth where it could be, is it a pathogen? Is it a toxin? Do you have a misalignment? Is this misalignment physical? Is it something that is structural, or is it like a meridian, something energetic within your body that's off? I mean, it could even be an organ, or our organs get shifted and moved around so much too within our body. A lot of people are like, "What? My stomach's misaligned." It just sounds so weird to us, but at the same time, yeah, all that stuff is moving around. We're moving around. We're eating food, and things get shifted, and when we're realigning them too, it's not like it's, oh my God, my stomach has moved from down here way up into my head. It's like these
More
little,
subtle. Yeah.
little tiny micromillimeters, but it's electric, it's electricity, it's energy. It's, it can really throw, those little micrometers can throw things off.
So you've mentioned emotion code and body code. Um, do you use them together, or do you have to decide based on what the person's telling you which route to go?
I can muscle test to what is best. We can ask your body, hey, is it more of strictly the emotion code where we just need to take those emotional layers off? A lot of times I tell people when you're first starting out, especially if you've done no type of energy work, we would probably start with more of the emotion code, because the body code, it has the emotion code component into it. It's just diving a little bit deeper. So it's diving into, hey, is this an allergy, or is this a misalignment, or is this a toxin that we came in contact with? And then is there an associated imbalance to this? And usually that associated imbalance for either that meridian being misaligned or your organ being misaligned is that emotional energy. So then that's kind of where the emotion code, comes into play with the body code, because then we're not only just, releasing those emotional energies, we're actually pinpointing where in your body too that emotional energy is really throwing your system, out of whack in your body.
So I booked a session with you, and you said pick 3 things that are bothering you. So we came up with some things, and then you took the first one, and then what do you do from there?
I just kind of go through, I ask my yes and no questions, say, okay, I don't even remember what your issues were that we worked on, but if somebody wants help with sleeping,
Yep.
that would be one. Say, hey, what can we decode and release with the body code that will help improve this sleep, or even what's the root cause of you not being able to sleep. So then it's just asking those yes or no questions as I go through my application online, and then once we get kind of to that pinpoint area, then we're going to kind of go down that rabbit hole. Okay, well, hey, this is a misalignment, and it could be your nervous system. That's even something, that may come up within your parasympathetic nervous system or your sympathetic nervous system. Okay, well, there's something going on here. Is there something even more? Is there that associated imbalance where it's that stuck emotional energy? So then we're releasing that emotional energy, and then realigning whatever was misaligned. So we kind of like going into the rabbit hole and then coming back out and releasing that energy.
So you identify the misalignment.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get things to be back in alignment?
So we just by sending that intention of releasing it. So it's again like that prayer, and then I like to use a magnet and a selenite wand, and it's swiping the governing meridian, which is one of your main meridians, energy meridians in your body that runs from the top of your lip, and it's over your head, clear down the back of your spine. So it's just using that intention, and concentrating. Hey, is this disgust? Let's release that trapped emotion of disgust. So it's actually, just doing those energetic swipes, releasing it, and then, kind of asking that question, did we release it? Yes. Okay. Is there anything else in your body that's stuck that, is related to this as well? And can we release that too? So it's pretty much as simple as that. You really don't have to do anything.
I love simple. I'm going to have you hold that thought. We're going to pause for a break from our sponsor. You're listening to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. I'm Dr. Amy Cooper-Smith, and I'm joined by my guest today, Linda Smiley, who is a body code and emotion code practitioner. And before the break, we were talking about different ways that you can use these techniques to help people clear different energies to help enhance their well-being. So you mentioned that sometimes people can come to you because they're not sleeping well. What other conditions can you treat with this method?
Oh, pretty much anything. I've worked with day traders on money blocks. I've worked with, cancer patients, individuals with autoimmune diseases, or even individuals who have like those mystery, like aches, pains. I had somebody with foot pain that she had for, it was months. I think she's 6 to 8 months, been to all kinds of different doctors telling her, they can't find anything. And when I worked with her, we were able to release that, and it's been almost a year now. And she's like, it hasn't come back. So, it could be anything physical or even mental, if you're like stressors with work or relationships, it could be that as well.
Yeah. So the person with the foot pain, now, was that, so it didn't have a physical cause that could be identified. So you released the emotional blockage. Now, was that related to maybe inflammation being caused by the emotional blockage, or it's just a mystery?
Honestly, I can't even remember what all the details were. It might have been inflammation because there is, in body code, there is what's called recovery interference. So that's, kind of where the recovery process is interrupted. And then we're able to kind of go in, like I'm able to go into your energy and kind of reboot your system, we'll say. A good example for that, I would think, would be when people had COVID and they couldn't get their taste back or their sense of smell back. So that's a perfect example of recovery interference. They're testing negative, but it's the energy of COVID is still lingering around. So I was able to help people there too, where we were able to go in and release that energy and they can get their taste and smell back and just removing it.
And now that's really interesting, something I hadn't thought about. But with COVID, there was the physical things that we dealt with, but then there was the fear and that emotional, and what is this virus and what are the long-term sequelae of this? So I can imagine that was manifesting in many different ways for people.
I still see people to this day with, like long COVID, that we work together with different things.
Yeah, well, it's good that you have the service too that was remote, so that because during that time when we couldn't be face to face, so that's pretty neat.
Very amazing.
So earlier you mentioned generational blocks, so that was something kind of a new concept to me actually. Like how can you inherit emotion or emotional blocks?
It's energy. It's, just like anything else that we pick up. And even when you're in womb, when your mother's carrying you, you can absorb things that way too from your mom, in womb. That's actually a category and emotion code. Is this something that you absorbed from your mother during pregnancy, or just something that you inherited, which... If it is, so many people have inherited different things from their parents, and it can be emotional energy. So it's just really interesting that we release it for you. We're releasing it for everybody who carries that same frequency.
Yeah. That was something that I did think about during my pregnancies. If I was upset emotionally about something, I would try really hard to not keep that negative energy, because I think even in the medical community, we do know that how we're feeling emotionally
Yeah.
does affect the child in womb.
Yeah, I've had clients say, where we would have different emotions come up and it would be in womb, it would be absorbed from their mother and they would be like, wow, yeah, I was always told stories,
Yeah.
about the pregnancy or different things that happened. So they're like, wow, how did you know that? And I get that response a lot from people. How did you know that? And I'm like, well, I don't. It's your subconscious speaking to me. It's you who knows that, and it's ultimately you who's healing. I'm just kind of guiding you and showing you the areas that need to be healed. It's your body telling you.
You mentioned that you work with children as
Yeah.
well. What kinds of things are you working on with kids?
Recently worked with a toddler on breastfeeding. She's getting close to 2, a little over 2 now. And, mom was like, okay, I'm ready. So it was trying to kind of get her, to wean off with breastfeeding and then also having kind of issues with sleeping in bed with mom and dad, those different kinds of fears. A bunch of different things with children too. Food reactions or allergies, gluten, different things that do come up. So it's just, I think with that too, it's great because not only you're helping the child, you're helping the parents too.
Absolutely. And then when we met before, you mentioned that you can work on pets.
Oh, yes. I love working with the animals. I feel like the results in the pets you see so much quicker, and I think it's just because they don't let their subconscious get in the
They're
way.
not blocking you, right?
Right. They just really respond to it very well. I work with my dog almost daily. Actually, before I came here, I worked with him because he has separation anxiety. So I've had him for about 4 years. And when I first got him, he wouldn't even go out back in my screen room. He was afraid of the loud noises or, different cars and stuff driving by. So after kind of working with him and releasing different stock, energies, he's completely different. He's so much more calm. He acts different. So I just love working with people's different animals. I worked with somebody's pet recently that she was only 2 years old, was recently fixed, but was having nighttime incontinence. And ever since I worked with her, she was not having any issues at all. So it's been wonderful.
Oh, that's so great. We all love our furry friends.
Yeah, or I mean, even behavioral, if they're ripping things up or tearing up your house while you're gone or pottying on your floor when you're gone.
Yeah, we have
those
one of
sorts
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works when you work with them.
So how many sessions would it take? Let's say like my dog's peeing when we when we go out.
It really depends. It could be one, it could be several. And I mean, if they keep getting triggered, which I find that with my dog, there's certain things I keep, like stubbornness is one. I have to keep releasing from him. But it sometimes it can take time. Sometimes it just switches, and they're good. And I think it's just like with humans, they're all different. It just depends on how deep the trauma is too,
Right.
if they keep getting triggered, if that's something that we need to release, or is it just, kind of the one and done. I think if they're younger, it's easier. You're releasing all that, where my dog is a senior dog. I adopted him, when he was older, so I think it takes a little bit.
Yeah, that makes
a little
sense.
bit more, got to dig off those layers.
Yeah, like with people too.
Yeah, exactly. Just more life experience, the more
Mhm.
trauma and stress and everything that you're going to take
Yeah.
on.
So another thing you do, and I want to call it the personality test, but that's not it. But you do, is that it? The human design chart. So how do you determine that, or how do you make one of those?
So, human design is, I like to call it a mixture between Myers Briggs and kind of like the astrological component. So, you have to have your birth date, time, and place. If you don't have the time, I know of some ways that we can go about getting it, or we can even muscle test to kind of get it close to the time that you were born. But it's actually a system devised on helping you make decisions in life based off of your profile type and design. But it's real unique because you actually get a visual graphic, and it will, give you the representation of what's best for you. Excuse me, for either your body or your mind, and it's all a system that I can even use too when I have your chart. When we do like an emotion code or a body code system, by looking at your chart, I can see kind of where your openness is, or when we say openness or undefined areas in human design, it's areas where you can be conditioned by others. So it's areas where you don't have set consistent energy within yourself and within your design. So you're going to pick it up either from others or from just, like the solar system, what's going on in the transits and, everything surrounding the earth. So it's a really unique system to empower you, for one, because I feel like we have all been raised to be manifestors. We're told, to go out there and get go-getters. And when you sit down and you learn your human design, that it's not necessarily true. We can all manifest, but there's different profiles and types. And by knowing your profile and type and when, like, the best days for you or how you should be manifesting. Like, for example, so I'm a generator. I'm a non-emotional 2-4 generator. So those are like my profile numbers, which would be kind of like your sun and your moon sign. So it's like your personality, how people, you present yourself, what people see in you, but then also your subconscious nature. That's your design side. So you can really use your human design as a generator. For me, it's like my sacral authority. So that's actually what I feel too when I'm muscle testing. It's really that body response of yes or no. Sometimes I'll even feel pulled toward things, or I make these little noises. A lot of generators and manifesting generators will make the ums and ahs and no, I'm not quite sure. We make those little generator noises. So it's really tuning in and listening to that body response versus the mind, with your monkey mind and what's going on. So it's more of just really what you're feeling and what your body is, and really listening to those emotions and making your decisions based off your body's response and not what your mind is telling you, which is hard.
Oh, so that's interesting. So we can take these things that are kind of that we were born with, and we can understand ourselves better and how we interact with the world.
Right. And where we may be potentially, trapping these emotions or energies within our body based off of our design as well.
Oh, so this is all fascinating. So how can our listeners learn more about you and the things you can offer?
So I am on social media, Facebook and Instagram. It's Life Force Healing Linda, or you can check out my website, which is LF Healing Linda. And I have all my services listed on there, or YouTube, checking out I have different sessions posted, another podcast that I've done, and just, different ways of how you can use the emotion code, body code, and human design to, grow and learn more about yourself and work with others. And I also do workshops as well, like for the human design. So,
Do you have any coming up?
I don't have anything like coming up soon. So if anybody's interested
Go to your
in
website.
booking a workshop, I'm looking for people to collaborate for workshops as well. And you would leave with your own personal human design chart in that
Fabulous.
workshop. Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Well, I want to thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and love to be able to talk and get the word out there so people are able to have different options with healing.
Yes. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to Energize and Revitalize with Dr. Amy. If there are topics you would like to hear more about, please send an email to radiantpodcast2025@gmail.com. Check out past episodes on Amethyst Wellness YouTube. And we're now featured on Apple Podcasts and all your favorite platforms. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review with a quick comment. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. I'll be back next Saturday morning at 7:30 with more expert insights and practical strategies to help you live your healthiest, most energized life. Until then, stay healthy, and here's to your best life.